that's all wrapped up. Plugs are done. Happy with it. This guy isn't attached anymore. It just needs to go on top. Turbos, but it's kind of formed. So like, you know, these cutouts go where the thing fits. So that's just how it would sit anyway. It's fine. And I didn't see any signs of coolant leaks from the top, even having all that stuff out and a little more access. So I'll have to jack this thing up in the air and look underneath. Now there was a recall at one point that's for the 2011s and the 2012s for his coolant shutoff valves, and they leaked into the ECU and made things awful. There's no recalls for 2013s because they moved the valves and now they don't drip into the ECU. So it's quite likely that those are dripping, and because they changed the design to not have to pay for recalls anymore, we might just find some coolant shutoff valves somewhere. From what I can tell, this is the line, only line for the reservoir. I just don't see anything from up here. You can't see it at all, but it does. I put a quart in it. So far it holds like 17. It probably has heater cores for the rear HVAC that are separate and just a lot of volume. I'll have to go to the store and get more because it's for sure. Yeah, I mean, there's like nothing in there. It's using it too fast. But all the spark plugs were dirty, like the nice brown they should be. If one of them was super clean, we'd know there's a head gasket failure. So there's no dipstick for the oil, which is concerning, but it's also doesn't look frothy. There's no milkshake that I could see. I wonder if there's like a secret dipstick. What's this? Is this a secret dipstick nobody knows about? Oh, no, just some kind of plug. Probably a plug for a dipstick. So yeah, I could shove something down there, maybe buy a proper one online, just to make sure that it's not getting into the oil. It's not. I can smell it. It's dripping out somewhere underneath. So I'll jack this behemoth up in the air, chock the tires real well, get under there and take a peek with her steered off. This should be pretty easy once the paneling's off. I mean, that's all coolant. It's just actively dripping right out. So I have a feeling once I pull this panel, it'll be pretty clear what's going on. Yep, right here. So this is the metal part's the coolant pump, and I think the gray here is the thermostat. And it's dripping, but it's coming from above. So something up on top is dripping around and down. It's gonna be hard to see up in there. We'll get a mirror. Hopefully it's just like a connection or a hose or something, but there's a good possibility I'll replace the whole assembly, which I think they're around 500 bucks, and they're paying the dick to get to, so yeah, we'll find out. Well, yeah, I'll poke a mirror in there and then get some lunch and think about it. There's good and bad. The good is it looks like it's coming out of a connection. I don't know if I'll be able to show it on camera or not because of the location, but we'll see. Basically up here. Okay, yeah. Oh, there's the mirror on it. Right at that joint. So there's a hose connection. It's like basically a plastic T-fitting that goes on the top, and it's leaking out of that. It's probably the O-ring, so I'm not sure how best to get to it. Getting closer, there's a lot of the clamps I can't like reach, and you can tell someone's been in here before because the fans aren't in their slot on the radiator, right? So the fans are just chilling. And this bar is a pain in the dick and in the way, right where the support is. If they had made this a two-piece and that came out, you'd be able to access stuff way easier. But I think to get these fans out of the way, I have a lot more room to reach up in and do things. And the way ER1 works is you pay them 35 bucks for your one-day pass, and you have printing rights, so you can download and get all your manuals. But it's not instant. I don't know why. So whenever they email me today or tomorrow, I'll at least have a manual to show how this comes apart, but I'm hoping to be done by then. I want to wrap this up this afternoon. It's looking like this is all one whole huge fiberglass piece, top to bottom. So I'm gonna bolt that back down, but check this out. These aren't in that great. So maybe if I pull this skin, I can just kind of like wiggle these forward and get some access that way. So you do have to pull the headlight, get the bumper skin off. There's bolts back here, and you can see little scratches on the inside of the fender. If someone's banging around, taking those in and out. So yeah, probably all this has been off before. It'd be hilarious if someone did the water pump and they just pinched an O-ring and it didn't leak until I drove it. Kind of silly, but it's possible. Alright, other headlight. There's 3 T30s. There's one on the top here. And yeah, that headlight clip, the tab was broken. I mean, it's still held in, but the part you push with your thumb was completely gone. There's one down here. Ooh. And then there's one in the back. And these bottom ones, I think you really just need to loosen them a little bit so it slides out. I don't think you need to take them all the way off, like the top one, because the washer's retained. So I'll leave those in place and see. Yeah, and it just kind of like wiggles out. Connectors in the back. This one's busted too. Oh, that fits tight. Not a lot of room. The other one came out further. I was able to get my hand inside. Oh, this one has its tab still. Oh, maybe it's hooked behind. Yeah, that's what it was. So the cord was stuck behind the thing, so now we got room. Okay, so yeah, it looks like a 210 millimeter. Oh, wait a minute. No, we definitely want to unbolt it. Yeah. This one, this bottom one was a huge pain in the dick. A giant pain in the dick. But once you unclip from here, this appears to just pull away. I don't see any of the sensor wiring on this side. It seems to all go to the other side. So I'm going to kind of put this back. Not all the way in, but just like, so it's resting on top of that. And then hopefully, oh, is that missing a whole nozzle? Looks like it. But that spray is real funny. That would explain massive drips in that area. Huh. Anyway, there's probably like one big connection somewhere. There's a bunch of wires that go down there from the bumper skin into the car. So, you know, dig under there first, unclip those guys, and then see if it just pops off. Maybe a couple over here too. Yeah, but this is the side where there's electrical. Actually, it might only be this one right here in the horns. Yeah. Looks like this guy and the horns, which off, we can see some of the stuff on the front. So this foam should just like slide off. I don't think there's anything that holds it. It kind of clips itself. Yeah. It's kind of a boxy thing. I don't know what that is. Yeah, so I'm just gonna peel things back, see what I can see. I imagine I have to pull that whole rebar off. I don't really want to do that with the car jacked up in the air, because it might go back on twisted. I'd rather it be level. Maybe I don't have to take that out. Maybe I can kind of slip things out the front. I'll find out. Right, after peeking around a little bit, it looks like it's going to be near impossible to pull this all apart with this rebar in place. Unless I'm willing to break the AC connections and things like that, which I don't want to do because I don't have to recharge it. I'd rather just like make sure that one comes out of the way, pull some other stuff. Because once that's out of the way, sometimes you can swing these things and just make yourself space. So rebar's coming off. I got a triple square for that. I don't know what size, but there's the KD part number, 2305. And then looks like there's a 13 millimeter down here and 3 triple squares. So it's a 10. So to pop this little bar off, at least so it gets out of the way of the rebar. And then we'll have to unclip all the, well, no, we don't have to unclip that because do they unhook? These two do. Those don't. So yeah, not all of them unhook, so we'll need to pull this electrical off it as well. Alright, we're getting there. This big hose, those are for the washer fluid. And then if you disconnect your electrical thing, you pull that apart. This will come off. It unbolts from here, and it can swing to the side. Same thing with the AC heat exchanger. It unbolts here and it'll swing away, but this guy's in the way. This is coolant. So this front one looks like it goes up to the heat exchanger, to the intercooler. So this is the heat exchanger for that, and then radiator's radiator. And I want to drain the coolant anyway. They're all the same fluid. So now I should be able to easily pop this bottom hose on this heat exchanger, just drain as much as we can. And then this should stay on as one unit. I'll unhook the hoses. Once you unhook radiator hoses, we should be able to pull the whole thing off. We'll have access to our buddy and check it all out. Well, here it is, all the way apart. Now that I have it apart, it's really not that bad. Like if I had known where everything was to unclip and unhook from the beginning, like I will in the future, it's not that bad of a job. Not very much coolant came out. Now, I didn't get the warning level light until I started it this morning to pull it up into here. So I for sure didn't run it low enough to damage anything at any point. And let's see, the drive back from Arizona, it wasn't until like St. Louis area where I smelled it when I parked. And same thing, I didn't get a light until I drove to work on Wednesday. So I think it just started. It looks like it's not alone. So this is the one that I saw at the mirror around this area. But this one's also leaking from that tube. So to figure out how those come apart. I almost think it's probably better to leave the pump in place. And we'll probably remove whatever this is so the tube can come out and we can get to that O-ring and see what's going on. This is just some kind of valve, some kind of mixing valve, I think. So, we'll just start popping stuff off. It's not going to get any worse. Okay, so this side's actually oil. And a little bit seeped out of there. And then with that big O-ring back on this before it clicks back together. So really, this like snaps in place. At first I thought I broke it, right? I was like, oh no, I broke it in half. Not the case. It clicks together with the O-ring, and then the bolts further hold it where it's supposed to be. So this bottom green O-ring, a little bit of leakage. There's no scarring or anything. Like the aluminum's fine. And what I'm wondering is if somebody did the pump and they didn't replace the O-rings, they just reused them. Because this one, it's not torn or anything, but it's also flat and old because they get hot. So I'd like to replace both O-rings and put things back together. This one, I might be a piece of shit. Do just a little bit of RTV to make sure that seals instead of ordering one. I just don't want to wait. Yeah. And that part wasn't leaking anyway. I could probably put it back in place. Like, it's still proud of the part. Oh, come on. It's blowing snow all over me. Alright. It's 19 degrees. I need to get a move on, get the heater back on, and see if I have any O-rings this size. If I don't, then it may be sitting here while I wait on the dealership. So I had O-rings that fit, just regular unit end, which is fine. They don't need to be special in a coolant system like this. Yeah. Anywho, so This one, this oil one, you can kind of see it poking out, but it had 2 ribs, so I put a second O-ring in. They're the same size. Certainly isn't gonna hurt anything. This one with the new O-ring, it fit tight. Like I had to push it in pretty hard just to get it to seat. So I'm not worried about it at all. I did cheated a little, put a little teeny tiny bead of RTV in on this O-ring just to be sure. But I believe once I put the radiator up, so I'll put it in, connect the fans, rock it up into place. You gotta hook up this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. And that'll make it so that we're ready to pour in more coolant, because it was dripping out just from gravity. So once we can put more fluid in, we should see it dripping if this didn't work before I put the whole clip on. And if it's not, then I'll just start putting things back on, because I don't think it's really snowing. I think it's just blowing it off the roof, but it's cold. I want to finish this up. That piece of the AC condenser went under here, so I'm going to put that back in place first. Should be able to pour coolant in now. I'll have to filter this to reuse it, because it's got all kinds of floaties in it, flakes of crap. I probably shouldn't even reuse it at all. I should just go buy some, but I'll need to buy some more anyway, because it's below. Well, we'll run and see how much the store has. Button back up, and it's funny, it sits super high up after jacking it in my air because it's raised. So air suspension's like having a freak out. Yeah, so get this thing lowered back down, and I'll top off that coolant. I didn't see any drips while I was putting everything back together, so I'm pretty confident that we're good to go. Got keys down there. I don't want to like go in here too far because they're stinky. It's like, oh my god! All right. Yes, you're in park. See if that sucked a bunch down there. It's probably gonna stink and smell funny. So it's all sitting down. But, oh, it didn't draw me. Oh, drove it around yesterday. Yeah, a bunch drained out. So it burped into the HVAC and stuff, but I don't remember. I didn't look at it when I parked it because it was dark. So we're gonna need to get some coolant in there because it's gonna be mad at me. I think maybe I'll do. Yeah, I gotta get some coolant. Yeah, rev it up. Okay, more than a day's worth of driving, and the coolant's exactly where I left it. So yeah, I'm gonna call that fixed. Next order of business, we're sitting a little low on the front, just a smidge, and I've got air suspension errors.